If you're an L-mount shooter, we have some exciting news from Blazar. I don't know how you say their name, but anyways, I'll stick with Blazar. They've announced that soon for pre-order, L-mount users will be able to pre-order their autofocus versions of their 1.33x anamorphic lenses. Blazar has been around for a while with a few different variants of anamorphics, 1.5x, they might even have a 2x anamorphic, and there's a few other companies out there doing anamorphic, but so far, for the most part, they've all been manual focus. Recently, Blazar released 1.33x anamorphics for the E-mount, and now it's nice to see that that will soon be coming to the L-mount. But this opens up the opportunity for us to talk about anamorphics in general and what I think of them in 2025. I think most people will agree the anamorphic aesthetic is very cool and pleasing, and it's just a nice thing to look at. It gives you some characteristics that you would otherwise not get with spherical lenses. So a lot of people are drawn to anamorphics, but honestly, in 2025, the needs of content production often don't really lend themselves to anamorphic at all. We're shooting a lot of stuff these days for vertical, and there's some cool things you can actually do with anamorphic lenses if you have the right set of ingredients where you can basically shoot vertical but then do anamorphic, and you can kind of get like a square aspect ratio if you think of the squeeze going the other way. So traditionally, the anamorphic squeezes everything. Gosh, I'm getting myself confused now. But essentially, in a traditional anamorphic lens, you de-squeeze horizontally. But if you shoot vertical and then you de-squeeze horizontally, you get square. That's what I'm trying to illustrate with my point. But that's going to depend on what type of anamorphic lens you have, how you can mount it, how you can rig the camera, etc. There's lots of variables there. But you can do some cool stuff with anamorphics, certainly, even in 2025, whether you're shooting vertical, square, horizontal, doesn't really matter. But the other downside of anamorphics historically has been no autofocus. We've got these great cameras from Sony, now Lumix, Nikon, Canon. They all do excellent autofocus, subject tracking, face detection, eye detection, animal, planes, trains, and automobiles, all the different ways you can autofocus, and yet you can't do hardly any of that if you're shooting anamorphic. At least that is until recently. Now we're starting to see, and I think Siru, or however you say that company, they also may have some autofocus anamorphics. It's kind of the newest technology coming to the market. And unfortunately, it's only hitting these like 1.33x anamorphics, which are typically designed for 16:9 footage. So if you're shooting 16:9, you don't want a heavy D-squeeze, because ultimately, if you're 1.5x, 2x, you're going to have ridiculously horizontal footage. So a lot of the 1.33x anamorphics have become popular for Sony shooters who have been, for the most part, limited to 16:9 footage. However, that doesn't quite apply to the L-mount, which if you're shooting Lumix, you have open gate. Now, this is full frame. L-mount is a full frame lens standard. So the full frame Lumix cameras will give you open gate, but it's 3x2, which is different than open gate on Micro Four Thirds, which is 4x3. Lots of numbers to track and keep up with. And if you do the math, if you're shooting Lumix with the L-mount, open gate, full frame, you're getting 3x2 is your sensor coverage area. A 1.33x lens will basically de-squeeze and give you roughly very, very close to a 2:1 aspect ratio, which I think is actually kind of nice if you're shooting open gate 3x2 to start with, de-squeezing to 2x1, kind of nice. But the thing about anamorphics is you get more of the effect the more of that D-squeeze is happening. So a 1.5x or a 2x anamorphic, there's even 1.6x anamorphics, 1.7, there might even be some 1.8s out there. Lots of different anamorphic standards. And the more you're squeezing, the more you're stretching, the more those anamorphic effects are going to be pronounced in your footage. So something like a 1.33x, to me, honestly, is not all that anamorphic. I'd be looking more for something like a 1.5 or above. And if I'm pairing it with different cameras, I got to factor in the sensor size. So Micro Four Thirds, again, that aspect ratio 4x3 is much taller to begin with than 3x2, which is still relatively kind of horizontal in nature. So you always have to factor all these things in to really get across what that final deliverable is even going to look like. If you want those true anamorphic characteristics, the only way to get them is with anamorphic lenses. But again, depending on how much you're de-squeezing or how much you're squeezing on the front end, depending on how you want to think of it, that's going to affect that final image result. And let's not forget, anamorphics typically are plagued with issues like close focus, not being able to focus close enough, sharpness, image quality, lots of aberrations, and that sort of thing. Some people like that. Some people dig the anamorphic look for those flaws, but there's other people that are very turned off to anamorphic lenses unless they're pristine and of the same optical quality that you would get with spherical. Now, it's not going to be identical. Spherical seems to be, from an optic standpoint, easier to create those lenses than anamorphics, and so thus anamorphic is always going to be inherently kind of flawed. But again, if you can maximize the flaws that you do want and minimize the flaws that you don't want, you ultimately get something that can be quite unique and cinematic, which is what a lot of people, even to this day, still want their footage to be. You want to look at it and say, wow, that looks like cinema, which anamorphic is kind of a shortcut, kind of a cheat code for that aesthetic. But let's not forget lighting, color grading, set design, wardrobe, hair and makeup, all of it matters far beyond the camera and the lens. So don't let one thing trick you into thinking, oh, now I can finally make cinema just by getting an anamorphic lens. No, you need far more than that, but it is part of the greater picture if you want a cinematic aesthetic. And if this autofocus works as well as I would hope it works, something equivalent to what you're getting with spherical lenses, I haven't tested it myself because, again, these aren't even out yet. They're soon to come for pre-order. We'll see what that timeline actually looks like. But for me, I'm eager to test autofocusing anamorphics because I've really stayed away from anamorphics over the last 5 years or so, just because it doesn't always make sense when you're trying to do multi-aspect production, shooting vertical and horizontal at the same time. If you're picking anamorphic, you're really picking the lane your content is operating in, which is fine. But if you're trying to do multi-format, multi-aspect ratio production, it's a little bit of a hurdle, as well as the autofocus limitations of anamorphic. If you like manual focus and that's all you ever want to do and you only want to deliver horizontal content, then yeah, anamorphics are a great option if you can find a set that fits your price point, your budget, as well as your needs in terms of optical performance. Yes, anamorphics are a great option because they're inherently cool. They do look interesting and unique, and they add characteristics to the image that you can't get with spherical. So they are a good option if you like those things and are willing to kind of pigeonhole yourself into one type of production. However, if you want those benefits of autofocus, if you want those benefits of multi-format, multi-aspect production, you may have to be kind of careful with what you pick, because oftentimes spherical, just cropped, letterboxed, black bars gets the job done for a lot of folks who are watching at home. Because the real people who geek out about anamorphic are all the cinematographers and filmmakers and videographers out there who, pixel peep and look at the bokeh and look at all the different, the barrel distortion, all the characteristics of anamorphic. That's what we geek out about. But a lot of viewers at home, most of the time, are just wondering, are there black bars on the top and bottom? Is it letterboxed? Okay, that feels like a movie to me. And what's even funnier than all of this is that nowadays, with movies pushing the IMAX standard and, oh, wow, now you can see more. It really fills the frame. It's tall. It's IMAX. It's more room vertically. Ultimately, watching at home, it's 16:9 on your TV screen. I find it so silly and so funny that you'll be watching a movie, black barred, letterboxed, a movie that when it goes to the IMAX scenes, the better scenes, the higher quality scenes, it just fills the TV back to 16:9, like your regular old YouTube content, like your traditional TV shows. It's kind of funny to me, and I smile every time it happens. And that's not even considering the recent push to 4:3 as a delivery format with, production companies, distributors like A24 kind of pushing that 4:3 aesthetic. Oh, it's cool, it's vintage, it's retro. Watch it 4:3 with the black bars on the sides. It's now pillar boxed. It's another aesthetic that people are leaning to. Regardless of what you want to do, be thinking about that final delivery format. Think about acquisition. How are you going to achieve what you ultimately want as that end result? Anamorphic may or may not be part of that picture. It certainly hasn't been for me. The moment content started going vertical and we needed to meet all these different demands of social media as well as 16:9 distribution, the open gate really that feature on Lumix cameras became more about multi-aspect production, then it became about anamorphic. OpenGate is traditionally best used for anamorphic, but in modern times, in 2025 and beyond, it's much more valuable for vertical and horizontal cropping from the same footage. You get that extra space up on the top and the bottom. If you don't know about OpenGate, certainly look it up. If you find it, you'll mostly see anamorphic stuff, but there's also people using it for those benefits, vertical and horizontal. So it's a whole nother video, a whole can of worms that you can dive into, but you really have to weigh the final distribution of your content to really determine what's going to be best on the acquisition side. Either way, whatever you decide, it is nice to have more options for L-mount. I certainly won't be upset about that. So Blazar, I don't know. Again, I don't know how to say it, but I'm glad we're getting some autofocus anamorphics for L-mount. I think in general, that's really cool.